What if the way you've cooked rice your entire life has been destroying most of its health benefits, and one simple change could lower its glycemic impact by up to 50%, cut calories, and turn rice from a blood sugar spike into gut medicine? Most people think rice is rice. Pick brown over white. Watch the portion, done. The peer-reviewed research says otherwise, and almost none of it has reached the dietary advice most seniors actually receive. I'm Dr. Raymond Griffin, 25 years in internal medicine, metabolic health, gut function, older adults. What I see in the nutritional literature and in my patients' metabolic panels every week is this. Rice preparation method is one of the most powerful and most ignored dietary variables available to seniors, managing blood sugar, weight, and digestion at the same time. Last week, 68-year-old retired pharmacist Bernard eliminated rice entirely because of what it did to his glucose. He came in expecting a medication conversation. I showed him 3 preparation techniques. He used them that week. His 2-hour post-meal glucose dropped 31 points. Today, I'm showing you those same techniques, ranked from most helpful to the single most powerful rice preparation method research has confirmed. Stay until the end. Number 1 changes everything. Number 5. And this one surprises people because we've been told for years that rinsing rice is purely about texture, a culinary preference, no metabolic relevance whatsoever. The research disagrees. Rinsing rice under cold water, then soaking it for at least 30 minutes before cooking, removes a measurable portion of the surface starch, responsible for your initial blood sugar spike. It also strips out phytic acid, an anti-nutrient that binds to zinc, magnesium, and iron in your gut, and blocks their absorption. Here's why that surface starch matters. It's made almost entirely of amylopectin, the starch fraction your digestive enzymes break down fastest. It floods your bloodstream with glucose in a narrow post-meal window. Rinsing removes that fraction before it ever reaches your digestive system. Soaking further slows how fast the remaining starch gets broken down. Think of it this way. Unrinsed rice has a layer of fast-burning fuel sitting on top of slower-burning fuel. Rinsing removes the fast layer before it hits the fire. The glucose release becomes more gradual. The blood sugar response becomes more manageable. Research in the Journal of Food Science confirmed it rinsed and soaked rice produced measurably lower glycemic response than standard preparation. The soaking step added reduction beyond rinsing alone. Do this. Rinse under cold running water for 60 seconds until the water runs clear. Soak in fresh cold water for 30 minutes. Drain. Cook normally. Managing kidney disease? Talk to your physician about soaking duration before you start. Number 4 adds something directly to the cooking water, and it changes the starch chemistry entirely. Number 4, and this one goes against everything most people have been told, that adding fat to rice increases calories, and works against every goal seniors managing weight and blood sugar are trying to hit. The research says the opposite, and the mechanism behind why is one of the most elegant pieces of nutritional biochemistry I've encountered in 25 years of practice. 1 teaspoon of coconut oil in the cooking water, followed by 12 hours of refrigeration before reheating, triggers a fundamental transformation in the starch itself. It changes how your body processes every gram of carbohydrate in that bowl. Here's the science. Rice starch exists in 2 forms: digestible starch, broken down rapidly into glucose, and resistant starch, which your enzymes can't touch. It passes intact to your large intestine, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and produces short-chain fatty acids that actively reduce intestinal inflammation. When coconut oil enters the cooking water, its fatty acid molecules insert themselves between starch chains during cooking, physically disrupting the structure that makes starch rapidly digestible. When the rice cools, retrogradation occurs. The disrupted starch chains reorganize into a resistant configuration that survives both reheating and digestion. Think of digestible starch as an open highway. Your enzymes travel at full speed. Coconut oil plus cooling turns that highway into a winding mountain road. The journey slows. Less glucose reaches your bloodstream. Research in food chemistry found this method reduced digestible starch content by up to 15% with corresponding drops in glycemic response. Do this. 1 teaspoon of virgin coconut oil per half cup of dry rice, added to the cooking water. Cook normally. Refrigerate 12 hours minimum. Reheat and serve. Number 3. Introduces something already sitting in your kitchen cabinet, and it produces results from the very first bowl. Number 3. And this one stops being about starch structure entirely and starts revealing something much deeper about how blood sugar regulation actually works. 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, added directly to the rice cooking water. And when you combine it with the rinsing and soaking from number 5, the glycemic profile of every bowl changes in a way neither technique achieves alone. Here's why vinegar is uniquely powerful. It contains acetic acid, and acetic acid works through 2 simultaneous mechanisms, operating at completely different points in your digestive process. First, it inhibits amylase. That's the primary enzyme responsible for breaking starch into glucose in your small intestine. Slower amylase activity means slower starch digestion. Glucose enters your bloodstream more gradually. The post-meal spike flattens. Second, and this is what separates vinegar from everything else on this list, acetic acid independently improves insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. It activates an enzyme called AMPK that enhances glucose uptake by muscle cells, less glucose burden in the blood regardless of how fast the starch digested in the first place. Think of it as a 2-gate system. Gate 1 slows how fast glucose enters your bloodstream. Gate 2 accelerates how fast your cells clear the glucose that does arrive. Vinegar operates both gates simultaneously. Nothing else on this list does that. Research in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found vinegar with a starchy meal reduced post-meal blood glucose by up to 34%, one of the largest single intervention reductions documented in nutritional. Glycemic research. Do this. 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar per cup of dry rice, added to the cooking water. The flavor disappears after cooking. On insulin or glucose-lowering medication, monitor your response carefully and consult your physician before making this a daily practice. Number 2, combines 2 cycles of something you've already learned, and the result is dramatically more powerful than either cycle alone. Number 2, this is where it stops being about a single preparation step and starts revealing what rice can actually become when you work with the biology deliberately. Double retrogradation. Cook the rice, cool it completely, then do it again. Most people have heard that cooling cooked rice increases resistant starch. That's the mechanism behind number 4. But here's what almost nobody has been told, and what the research confirms clearly. Repeating the cook and cool cycle a second time produces a resistant starch conversion dramatically more complete than a single cycle alone. Each cycle drives retrogradation deeper into the grain. The first cooling converts the outer starch layers. The second cycle reaches the inner starch architecture. The first cycle left partially untransformed. And when you layer this on top of the acetic acid from number 3, the 2 mechanisms work synergistically, attacking digestible starch and improving insulin sensitivity from completely different biological directions at the same time. Think of starch retrogradation like metal hardening when cooled. 1 cycle hardens the surface. A second cycle after reheating has softened it again, hardens the entire structure far more completely. The result is fundamentally more resistant to breakdown. Research in food hydrocolloids confirmed it double retrogradation increased resistant starch content by up to 40% compared to a single cycle. With clinically meaningful reductions in glycemic response for adults managing blood sugar after 60, do this. Cook normally. Refrigerate 12 hours. Reheat fully. Refrigerate another 12 hours. Reheat and serve. Managing a condition that requires consistent carbohydrate counting? Note that resistant starch calculations shift with each cycle factor that in. Number 1. Reduces the glycemic impact of rice by up to 50%. Almost nobody knows it exists, and it's been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. Number 1. The preparation method research confirms can reduce digestible starch by up to 50%, lower the glycemic impact of every bowl, cut caloric availability, and deliver billions of beneficial bacteria directly to your gut in a method traditional cultures have used for thousands of years that modern nutritional science has only recently caught up to explaining. Fermented rice. Cooked rice, submerged in water, left at room temperature for 12 to 24 hours. That's it. Naturally occurring lactobacillus bacteria begin a mild fermentation that transforms the nutritional profile of the rice at a biological level before a single bite is consumed. Here's what happens during those hours. Lactobacillus bacteria consume the remaining digestible starch as their primary fuel, converting it into lactic acid and short-chain fatty acids, instead of leaving it available for your digestive enzymes to turn into blood. Glucose. Starch the bacteria consume during fermentation never reaches your bloodstream. The lactic acid produced simultaneously lowers intestinal pH, creating an environment hostile to pathogenic bacteria and deeply supportive of beneficial microbiome diversity. And when you combine fermented rice with the vinegar from number 3, something remarkable happens. Acetic acid and lactic acid amplify each other's inhibitory effect on amylase activity. The combined glycemic reduction exceeds what either produces independently. Think of fermented rice as pre-digested rice. Beneficial bacteria have already consumed the most metabolically dangerous fraction before your body ever encounters it. The work is done. The damage is prevented. Before the first bite. Research in the Indian Journal of Traditional Knowledge documented up to 50% reduction in glycemic response compared to freshly cooked rice, with additional benefits for gut microbiome diversity and intestinal inflammation. Markers. Do this. Cook rice normally. Cool completely. Submerge in fresh water. Leave at room temperature 12 to 24 hours. Drain. Serve cold or gently reheated. Bernard used this method the week after our appointment. 31-point drop in his 2-hour post-meal glucose. Now you know exactly what I showed him. 5 techniques, all free, all achievable in any kitchen tonight. Rinsing and soaking to strip surface starch and anti-nutrients. Coconut oil cooking, plus cooling to trigger resistant starch conversion. Apple cider vinegar in the cooking water to inhibit amylase and improve insulin sensitivity simultaneously. Double retrogradation to deepen that conversion beyond what a single cycle achieves. And fermented rice, the ancient method research confirms, reduces glycemic impact by up to 50%, while delivering direct gut microbiome benefits. No other technique on this list produces. Now I want to be honest with you. Bernard had eliminated rice entirely. A food he'd eaten and enjoyed his whole life gone, because nobody ever told him that how rice is prepared changes what rice actually is metabolically. He came to my office expecting a medication conversation. He left with a preparation method, 31-point drop, same week. That gap between what the research shows and what actually reaches the patient is exactly why I make these videos. Here's your one action tonight, just one. Cook your next batch of rice with 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in the cooking water. Cool it completely before serving. That single combination is enough to start changing how your body responds to every bowl from this point forward. 1 tablespoon, 1 cooling cycle. Tonight. If this video reached you at the right moment, share it on Facebook right now. Tag someone managing blood sugar, weight, or digestive health who needs to know that what you do to rice before cooking matters as much as how much rice you eat. Tag them before you close this video. And if you want more of this specific, practical, research-backed guidance that most dietary appointments never deliver, I post every single week. Subscribe now. Bring someone you love with you. I'm Dr. Raymond Griffin. Eat well, cook smart, and take care of that gut. I'll see you in the next one.